No.
Hey everyone, how's everybody doing? Can you hear me? Smile, thumbs up, anything? Good to hear you. You look beautiful.
Yes, we can hear you.
I put some lip gloss on for the first time in a month or something. I'm feeling like all ready to go. I might have leggings on under here though, so.
At least you're wearing pants.
Yes, I might be wearing pants. No, not gonna start off weird. All right. So how's everybody doing? Hanging in. I see smiles. Yeah, loving the sunshine today. Awesome. Oh my gosh, so many faces. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, Sarah will be on in just a minute. And the way that we are going to do things, I'm just going to get started talking just a little bit about Zoom and some functions that we have this evening for anyone who is new. So you're all here. So congratulations. You're here. You can see me. You can hear me. That's awesome. I am recording this evening's class so that I can share it with a couple people who had asked. And I want to show you at the bottom of your screen, whether you're on your phone or you are on a laptop, there is a chat button. Okay, so try to locate that chat button right now. We are going to be sharing information there. Thank you, thank you. Yep, just say hello. I see Julia said hello, Christy said hello. So just say hey, maybe say where you're from, why not, where you're popping in from. And what we are going to be doing tonight, we're going to be doing giveaways via the chat. In addition, we are going to be giving you some information there about the email so that you can get your journal, because I'm so excited to gift all of you this really cool gardening journal for tonight. And we are going to be sending you out an email with some information. So yeah, we're just really excited. So we're gonna have all that come together. I tried to grab some things from outside. I had envisioned maybe being in the garden, and there's just not quite enough daylight as of yet, but I'm excited to kind of share my ghetto fabulous way of gardening, coming from more of like an inner city and suburban, I don't know, way of figuring it out. And Sarah is going to come on and she is going to share more about like specifically her homesteading. She does row gardening. She has a lot more land than we do. So what I can do until, oh my gosh, Sarah, are you here? Sarah!
I am, I'm here. Hey girl.
Look at all of our friends. This is awesome.
Like more and more. This is so fun.
So I went over Zoom. I can see all the happy people who were commenting in the chat thread. So just make sure that you can access that via your phone or via your laptop. I told them a little bit about what we're going to be talking about this evening. We have a whole list of questions. You guys want to know like everything. So Sarah and I were like, we might have to do spin-off classes from this because there were a lot of questions, but we're really excited to get started. So Sarah, do you want to chat for a little bit?
Absolutely. Hey guys, I am so excited. When Sarah asked me to just link arms with her and teach this class, I was like, absolutely, because I absolutely love what Sarah has been doing and just venturing into gardening and making it work for her. And I want to encourage each and every one of you, you can make this work for you wherever you are and whatever type of land or even pots or whatever you have, you can make this work for you. And so we are really excited to just bring this to you. So ask all the questions we'll be going through looking at your questions. So if you have questions that pop up, like we'll go back through and try to answer those as they come up. So Yes, I think Sarah, you covered most of it, most of all the beginning.
Yeah, I covered the basics. So do you want to
Okay.
talk a little bit more about you? And then maybe I'll talk a little bit, just a tiny bit about me, where I'm coming from, my experiences. And then we can kind of get into our different garden methods. If you ladies and gentlemen have any specific questions, just right now, you can start kind of like typing them up. We're going to go back and forth. We do have a formal presentation as well, but the presentation that we have is very much like recipe based, very oils based, which is awesome. But you had a lot of very specific questions that we want to make sure we can address in a timely fashion if possible. And then that also helps to guide us if we do something in addition, like if we spin off and do just a composting or just a sprouting or, you know, something like that, very in depth. So feel free to ask any questions there. We have a lot of information to go over, but do you want to chat by just kind of talking a little bit more about your background, Sarah?
Absolutely. Okay. And Sarah, Paul and I go way back. I mean, way back. I'm going to grab some oils quick because I feel like I need to put some oil.
I always say it's 10 years, but I've been saying that for like 5 years now. So it's been a long time.
I know, right? I think it's been like, oh gosh, I don't want to date ourselves, but it's been a while. Sarah and I taught together. We were elementary ed teachers, and that's how I got to know Sarah. And it's just amazing how just this lifestyle has rekindled that friendship and has strengthened it. So I am super just blessed to have her in my life. And a little bit about my background is I was an elementary ed teacher, and my husband and I got married, it was 12 years ago, and he comes from an organic farming background. His grandfather was an organic farmer here in Lancaster County. And so we actually lived on his property for a little while. We rented it. Someone had purchased it in the family, or someone purchased it outside of the family. And we were able to rent it our first 5 years. So we had the run of the place. And so we could garden. And I remember, because he kind of laughs at me now because he dug up the entire front yard, and I came home and he had it ripped up like in gardens. And I was like, what are you doing? But then I was super blessed because we could just grow like tons of food, and we had chickens, and I don't know, it was like our experimental property, and we just dove in. We had no clue. We listened to podcasts, or not even podcasts, YouTube. We watched videos. He used his background, and I had a little garden growing up. So we just kind of dug in, and I thought he was kind of over my shoulder for a second. I thought I heard him, but we just dove in and learned as we went. And so our whole goal was we always wanted to learn with people, and we wanted to just be able to link arms with others and say, hey, what are you doing? Hey, how are you doing your beds this year? Or what are you composting with? Or, you know, my carrots aren't coming up. What's your secret? And so through all of that, we kind of developed this community, and it's been incredible. Our goal is to have like big, I don't know, community dinners on our property, and just, I don't know, bring everyone together. But so we do what's called Back to Eden gardening. If you want to search that, Back to Eden gardening. Sorry, I don't know how to like quiet my notifications, but it's an incredible way of gardening where you can use wood chips, and you can use wood chips even in raised beds. Look up lasagna gardening as well, and that's a way of just layering different kinds of soil to get the most benefit of your crops. So you can do that in a raised bed. You can do that in like just, you know, row gardening if you want to go that in depth. But wood chip gardening or Back to Eden gardening is really just has worked for us for helping to keep weeds down and maintain moisture in the soil. So we do row gardening. We just dug up a part of our front yard to do a kitchen garden. So we just love to play around with the land, and we feel like, why mow our grass when we can grow food? So I encourage you, if you have an acre of land, till it all up and grow food, because why mow it when you can grow food?
Yeah, no, Sarah, I love that. And I'm laughing like about that because we live in the suburbs. we live in a development. We have about a third of an acre, and a good portion of that is a hill. Like, we laugh, it's like a cliff. We moved in before we had our son. We have our little boy Cooper, who's 4, and we looked at it at a time period as like the hill of death. We were so afraid of it. We're like, what were we thinking when we moved here? It's a beautiful view, but this is not practical. And it was perfectly landscaped, like ornamental everything, and these beautiful beds and all of this craziness, which was great. But slowly but surely, we have like gifted the ornamental bushes to neighbors. We are doing a full pollinator flower garden out back now, where like we used to have to weed all the time, and really for nothing, just for it to look flat. I don't know. And we have our raised beds, which I'll talk about tonight too. So I just have to laugh because we've slowly transitioned everything out from perfectly manicured into just like wildness that we can really maintain together. So, and have fun with. And I don't know, it's great. So Sarah and I met many years ago. We were teaching, and I reached out to her. Actually, I was watching her for a little while. Like, we were really good friends. I switched schools, and we just kind of like became moms and got busy, and we just like were out of touch for a little while. And I was watching her on Facebook, and I saw that she was doing interesting things. I had no idea what these interesting things were. Like, she was using oil, she was rubbing them on her kids. I'm like, what the heck is this? And I didn't really pay any mind until I had my son. And that's when things really changed for me. And I reached out to Sarah when he was having some health issues. And I was like, what the heck? I need to figure out what you're doing, because you're doing things naturally. And what I was doing at the time wasn't working, because my son was just getting sicker instead of becoming healthy. So I reached out to her on the phone, and she was so sweet. I was like, can you call me? And she's like, yeah, no problem. And I was like, I don't know what you're doing. You're rubbing oils on your children, and they seem happy and healthy. Can I rub oils on my child and have that happen too? Fast forward, this is my 3-year anniversary since that phone call this month, which is awesome. And we are just embracing all things natural. We are about to get bees in, I think, 2 weeks. So we're putting bees on the hill of death now, and that's going to be our bee hill. So I'm really excited about that, and to try to venture into that too. So what we are going to talk about is all the different ways to garden. And what I do is I do a lot of container gardening, but now I've also switched over to raised bed gardening. And I do it with wood chips too, like what Sarah was talking about. I didn't know that there was a name for it though, because I've kind of like figured things out along the way. I grew up inner city. My mom, I think, is on here somewhere. And we literally had a yard that was 3 feet wide by 6 feet wide, or 3 feet wide by 6 feet long. Like, we had one of those old school push mowers that had no motor, and it took us like 3 pushes to mow the backyard. And she still had a garden, growing up. So she did a lot of container gardening. She had a compost in the inner city that was just a big old metal barrel. So we're going to talk about things like that too. Hey, Mom, you are here. Okay. And she found the chat. You go, Mom. So we're going to talk about things like that too. And what I do, so it's back to Eden gardening. I love that. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. So we do raised beds, and we have 6 of them in the back that are all wooden, with soil in there. And then we do mulching over top, like wood chips, natural wood chips over top as well. But I hear tonight that a lot of people want to know about weeds, natural weed protection, pest control, repelling mosquitoes, things like that. What are good fruits and vegetables to plant when we have limited sunlight? All great questions. Yes, bees. I will share everything that I'm learning. I'm doing the same thing that Sarah is. I'm just trying to figure it out. And if they have a lot of deer. So we can kind of talk about all those things as well. So a great resource for raised bed gardening, the book that I think Kay is on here, that she lent to me, she is fantastic. She's a wealth of knowledge as well, is a book called Square Foot Gardening. and it's by Mel Bartholomew, and I'll put that in the chat. It is amazing. It's on Amazon, so you can get it from there. And it is just fantastic. It really tells you how to measure out your space, how to build beds if you want to do that. It tells you what plants to plant with other plants, because there are happy vegetables that go very well together. I'm sure it's similar with row gardening, right, Sarah?
Absolutely. The companion gardening is good for any kind of gardening. Yes.
So that was a great resource. I just put it in the chat as well. That was a book that really helped me get started. And every year it's something that I also give myself grace with. I was just listening to something that said the reason that a lot of us people nowadays don't have hobbies is because we want to be like amazing at whatever we do. And we feel as though we don't have time to be mediocre at something. So I want to, like, right now, I'm giving you all the grace to just be like, it's okay if I'm not perfect. It's okay to be mediocre. The first time, like right after we moved in here, I planted all this stuff like out back. I did not put a fence up at all. And I was just like, everything's going to grow. Like, I'm just going to water it and I'm going to pick weeds and it's going to be fantastic. And mostly everything got eaten by bunnies and squirrels and things like that. And I learned next year, I need to put some sort of fencing up, right? So the next year we just bought chicken wire fencing and those green poles, like Sarah, I'm sure they're called something, from Home Depot and Lowe's. Yeah. Yes, green poles. And we just put chicken wire fencing up around our raised beds. And do you know what happened our second year? Everything like grew and it was amazing. And we all of a sudden had more tomatoes than we knew what to do with. We had more peppers than we knew what to do with. And it was just one little change that made such a difference. So I want to just give you grace right now that it's okay if you're not perfect at this. And I think that it's amazing that you're willing to give it a go.
And can I add on that, Sarah, because 12 years in and we're still having, oops moments, or, some seasons are great and some seasons aren't. Like, we have had peach trees for the last 7 years and we have not gotten a peach harvest. We are still learning. And last year we actually did all the things right. And then we had this deep freeze. And so sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes, weather conditions. We've always had a bumper crop of blackberries. Last year, our blackberries did not turn out, but we have a great harvest in other areas. So it every year ebbs and flows. And you just, as a farmer, as a gardener, you have to go with the season and you have to flow with it. And you have to look at the blessings and look to see what is working and what areas of growth that you can, grow from for the next year. We've every year, and we are not perfect in this. Every year we're learning something new. So dive in deep. The first year, we grew things that we don't even eat. And every year we reconsider and we're like, do we even eat peas? No, we don't even eat peas. Why are we planting them? Why plant something you're not going to eat? And so really think about what you're going to eat. And so we do have row gardening, but this year we're putting in a kitchen garden because we have the space in our front yard, and that's going to be for fresh eating, and that's going to be raised beds, and that's going to be for eating in the season, where our row gardening is going to be for harvesting and harvesting those crops to keep for winter. So if you have that space, absolutely do so. But yeah, give yourself grace and have fun with it.
Yeah. And let's talk about basics, like with starting seeds, because this freaked me out for the longest time. And Sarah, you helped me overcome this fear last year when you did your planting day up at the barn. It was like, it liberated me so much, because up until that point, I went and I just bought plants. Literally, I bought organic plants, which I know this is a question too, like, what's the difference? I would buy organic starter plants and I would pop them in the soil, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I did it, and that's how I grew things, and that's how I learned how to take care of them and how to harvest things properly. It was all a YouTube scenario. I have kale that has been growing for 2.5 years or something out back. Somebody the other day was like, I didn't know it came back every year. I'm like, I didn't either, but this is awesome. And I learned how to harvest it. You pick the leaves from the bottom rather than cutting them from the top. It's something simple like that a really quick YouTube video can teach you in 2 minutes. Same thing with harvesting basil. I used to get a basil plant from the grocery store, because how many of you have seen the organic basil plants at Giant, okay, or whatever grocery store? They have them hanging there, and you can get them as a plant with the root ball, or you can just like get basil. And I remember getting the basil plant for the first time and being like, I am gonna do this. Like, I am gonna get this plant and I'm gonna do something with it. And I stuck it in a pot, and then I would go to harvest it and I would just pull all the leaves off of it. And I didn't know that there was a way that if you harvest it just by changing it a little bit, by picking the larger leaves that are on the bottom and just peeling them, not cutting them, like snipping them, that it'll make it come back more readily. So something really simple like that can be a big game changer in the abundance of your crops that you can harvest. Really simple things like that. But let's talk about seeds, right?
Yes, absolutely. I feel like my husband and I are dreamers, and we dive in head first, feet first. I don't know. We just dive in like with our everything. And we plant a ton of seeds, and sometimes they come up and sometimes they don't. He built a greenhouse that has come in really handy, but obviously not everyone has that option. But Sarah has a really good, cool tip to share with you guys about seed starting. But you can absolutely, he even built me like this window box that was the ugliest thing ever. I came home with this like glass contraption shooting out my window. And I was like, all right, babe, what is that? And but it worked. It was just ugly sticking out my window. So this life isn't like beautiful. You use what you have and you make do, but starting seeds. So I feel like now is the time to start seeds. So beginning of March and April is a great time to start seeds. I guess it all depends on when you want to have those plants ready. So you want to plant them usually like 6 weeks before your last frost. So it's just reading the back of your seed package, and every seed is different. Like this time of year, you can definitely sow lettuce right into the ground. You can sow radishes, all those cold, hardy crops, broccoli, cauliflower. You can put those plants right into the ground right now. Or like tomatoes and cucumbers and squash, those things you'll want to start from seed and have them ready to plant. Usually May or Mother's Day is like in Pennsylvania here. That's like our signal to be like, yes, we can plant safely, right? Without any chance of frost. But if you're planting indoors, just making sure you have a sunny window and it's warm, so that way the soil stays warm and it's going to start that little seed to grow. Making sure there's enough water. So even though we have our greenhouse, like when we started planting a couple weeks ago, we would plant our seeds, but we bring them up and we put them by the wood stove for like 2 days to really get them nice and warm, making sure they had enough water. And then we would we'd take those trays and put them in the greenhouse. So once we know that that soil was warm and those seeds germinated, then we would move them to the greenhouse. Some seeds don't have to be started, like zucchini seeds. We did start some of them, but a lot of times we sow them right into the soil, like in May. Those are ones you can sow right into the soil. Same with cucumbers. It's nice to have some early cucumbers and you can have those plants started, but you can easily sow them right into the soil as well in May. And we do that too, because you can have a later garden. My husband and I prefer having a later garden, like September. A September garden is beautiful, meaning you start your plants later in the season so that they're not really affected by that high heat. Because have you ever had a cucumber that is so bitter and tastes really nasty? Yeah. So you either want to have an early summer garden or a late summer garden. And so you can have both, really. You can have an early summer garden and a late summer garden. we just prefer that late summer garden when, you know, all vacations are over and we can just kind of settle in and reap our harvest.
And for those of you who are like brand new here, because I feel like we have, who's brand new? Like, just give me a shout out, give me a little raise, and you're like, yeah, that's great. I want an early vegetable garden and I want a late vegetable garden, but how the heck do I even know how to grow a vegetable? Right? Okay, that was me. So Sarah, I love that you know those things. Okay, so this is what I found out and what was really easy to me, because coming from like, I don't know much of anything to I want to grow something, I sat down like Sarah did and she was like, what do we eat? Okay, like what do we eat? What do we eat? I sat down with my son, because for any of you who have young children, especially if they're picky eaters, it is amazing to see, like, he will go out to the herb garden and just straight up eat herb leaves now. He will eat anything that is growing in the garden. He went harvesting for nettles in the backyard, if you even know. Yeah, and he was eating them the other day. And Steve was like, he's eating weeds. I don't know. And I'm like, no, you can actually eat those, Steve. So it was very interesting. But he has become so much more open to eating something if he grows it. So it's been amazing, 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 amazing. Julia, she said the same exact thing. It's so cool. So I sat down with him. I said, you know, what is your favorite vegetable right now? His is green beans. I thought, great. The only time I ever grew green beans, I think I got 3 green beans out of all of my plants for the entire summer. I was like, green beans, this is just great. But hey, that's what he wants. That's great. I know that we eat tomatoes like they're going out of style. I love herbs. Herbs are very hardy and they're easy to grow. Like most of them, I really think so. My herb garden, like, stuff just comes back. I have a sage bush that I tried to kill out back because it just got so huge, and it's still alive. Like right now, it lasted all winter. My parsley lasted all winter. My rosemary lasted all winter. Like, just out there, I did nothing to it. The mint, yes, I have mint that I can't get rid of. Same with my kale. So those types of things are really hardy, but how do you know? Okay, right now it's a little bit more difficult because most of us are not going out a lot in public, right? So that's a little bit different, because what I would do, I would just go to the seed store. You can go to Lowe's, you can go to Home Depot. Those places are open. A place that I love that Sarah turned me on to is Roars. Can you type that in there, Sarah? And that's local in Lancaster County. It's in Smoketown. And they have online shopping and shipping. They have a great amount of organic seeds if that is something that you're wanting. They have a lot of heirloom seeds. They have a lot of conventional seeds too, but they have a full online catalog. I ordered from them at the beginning of the quarantine, and I got my items very quickly from them. So they are sending things out right now. The cool thing is that if you order a seed catalog, like you can go on and get a seed catalog for free from Roars, for instance, or just Google seed catalog. Sarah might have some other resources. Julia also just posted a place in Mount Joy. All of the seeds say exactly what to do on the seed packets, all of them. You flip them over and it says, start indoors, don't start indoors, plant during March, plant during, September. Based on where you are, it says directly on the seed packet what to do. It is like a recipe to follow. So if you start with the amount of space you have, and that might be 2 pots. Who's doing container gardening? Put in the chat. Anybody doing container gardening, let me know. Say that you have 2 pots that you just want to grow something with, right? Then you can say, I'm going to try to look up container gardening, best plants for container gardening. Tomatoes are going to pop up, okay? Strawberries are even really good for containers. I know people who grow peppers in containers, right? Herbs are amazing in containers. So these things are going to pop up in your search if you are doing containers. And then you can just look at the seeds. Like if you're online shopping, like you go to Roars and you go online, it will tell you exactly when to plant the things and how to plant them. So yeah, we have a couple people who are doing containers on here. We had someone else ask who very brand new, what vegetables are good to start with? I don't remember who that was, but what type of gardening are you doing? And let us know. Like I said, herbs are amazing to start with, but really take an inventory first. What's my family going to eat if this thing happens, right? If I grow this food, are we going to eat it? I was thinking too, like Sarah was saying, if you have roadside stands and things like that you shop from that have an abundance of something, then maybe you don't have to grow as much of that, but you want something else. Like herbs tend to be a little bit more pricey. And if you have some fresh herbs, maybe you'll use them within your cooking. So think about how you eat and kind of plan it then go from there. What do we eat? I know my family eats kale. My family eats peppers. My family eats all the herbs. So I kind of laid it out like that. My son wanted green beans, so I laid it out in the raised beds. We have to put this with green beans. And then we want carrots, so things like that. And I just kind of filled in the spots based on the amount of space that I had. If you're doing raised beds, that resource that I gave you is amazing. It literally shows you how much space, like what to plant and how much space to plant it in. You can also search for things like that too, like little maps and things, but the same thing with containers. So Sarah, what do you think about that?
Yes, absolutely. And I feel like with the smaller space, you're going to be more intentional about what you're planting, and you're going to get more out of it. Because even Brooke and I, my husband and I, we notice when we scale back, we get more out of our garden than having a huge garden, because the more you have to take care of, the more you have to weed and tend to. So if the smaller the space, and that the square foot gardening is spot on. I had a friend who did that, and she would get a ton of produce, and I was like, girl, how are you putting all this stuff up in your freezer and storing all this? And we have this huge garden, and she was getting way more than we were getting because she had that space and she was intentional about it. Some other things to grow in your pots. Lettuce is a really good thing to grow. If you have a large pot, you can grow lettuce, and lettuce, you cut that and it comes again. I usually get something called salad bowl, and it's just an easy cut and come again lettuce. It just grows pretty fast, and that's a really great thing to grow right now. Later on in summer, it's going to start to get bitter, but you want to grow that now. Tomatoes. I know growing up, my mom would always have like 3 tomato plants, and she would make tons of sauce from those 3 tomato plants off the back patio. Cucumbers are great as well. I mean, everyone loves fresh cucumbers, or most people, not everyone, but fresh cucumbers. So think about what you love to eat and what you love to eat fresh.
And I'm giving you a link right now that I found really helpful for container gardening. So take a look at that. And that has like all the basics, like sizing of container, what you want to make sure your container has proper drainage. It talks about soil. It talks about all the specific details for what you want in a container, size, and also even plants that do well with it. What I found this year from Roars that I love are these little biodegradable pots. Okay. So this is what I did for my garden and what I did for getting things started. So you see, I have these little baby tomato plants in there. And this is only like, I don't know, maybe like a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. And just like what Sarah said, I kept them inside for about 2 to 3 days. And then listen to this. So I was going through clothing because I've been purging. I've been going through all the things. Anybody else going through everything in their house? I don't know. I keep going through things. I think that I'm getting somewhere. And then I don't know. I see lots of other things that I didn't know existed. So I had all these clothing bins because I had a girlfriend come over to get a bunch of baby clothes that I didn't need anymore. I took the tote and I flipped it over. So the lid is on the bottom of a big tote. I can share a picture of this then too. And I have a clear tote on top. So it is a big one, like a big clothing tote. I'm bad with sizing, but I have the lid on the bottom. I took all of our plants. This is a pole tomato. Okay. I got all my seeds. I had no idea what I was going to start inside, what I was going to need to sow in the soil until I got my seeds. And I literally sorted them. Start inside, sow in the soil. Start inside, sow in the soil. I had all my start inside ones. I planted 2 or 3 seeds in each of these little biodegradable, plantable, little seed pots. I wrote in black magic marker what it was, and then I put them into the tote. So the bottom of the lid, I take my watering can and I put about 1 inch of water in the bottom, okay? And then I set all of the pots on top, and then I put the clear plastic tote on top of that, and now I have it outside because it's been so warm. So it is a natural greenhouse. It wicks the water up from the bottom. It like waters itself. I check on it daily just because my son and I like to see the progress of all the plants. But it is a greenhouse, and it was free because I had a tote in my garage. It still says like baby clothes months 0 to 3 months on it, and it waters itself. Like, it is amazing, foolproof. I went out there, I was like, oh crud, I didn't water it enough, because this is me, this is reality. I'm like, oh, I kind of forgot to water it for a couple days. Even though I was looking at it, I just didn't think of watering it. And I went out, I watered it then yesterday, and everything is standing up and beautiful today. So like, they are resilient. They're more resilient than we give them credit for, but it grows really, really well. So that's something that I recommend for a really quick greenhouse too, and to start your seeds.
I absolutely love that. I think that is like genius.
It's super ghetto, but it works.
I love it, because I if it wasn't for my husband, I would totally, all my plants on my front porch, like all my flowers and stuff, would die because he waters them. I always forget to water my flowers and plants. So I love that just is like, yeah, a little ecosystem in itself.
Absolutely. So take a look at that. And then what I will do now, I'm going to kind of start the slides, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody keep asking questions. I know we had some questions about,
we had some questions about, we touched on the where to buy, the seed types, and composting. Let's just quickly touch on that. Seed types, I'm just going to touch on that real quick. I prefer non-GMO organic, meaning, and non-GMO organic, meaning nothing has been really done to the seeds. They're like or heirloom as well. Look for those labels, non-GMO. Heirloom, preferably heirloom, meaning nothing has been altered. When you see hybrid, that means like the seed has been altered for, I guess, better production, but I prefer heirloom when you're searching for seeds. And so all of those places like Roars does have their own brand. They will have heirloom, but they also have hybrid. But they also carry Baker Creek. They carry some of your other popular brands. And so I also put Baker Creek in here as well. They have all heirloom and organic seeds. I also put Southern Seed Exchange. They have organic and heirloom seeds as well. So you can also save your seeds, which I haven't got, we started, but that's a whole science in itself. And then compost. So if you have questions on like just the difference in seeds, I mean, if you're just starting out, look for heirloom, non-GMO, organic. Okay, those 3. And then compost. Do you compost, Sarah?
Yeah, so let me just briefly talk about that, because I just posted a link. I have a new link for Roars seeds because they said that your link didn't work.
Okay.
That's a new one. And then, yes, so I do compost, and this is what I do because, again, I am just now starting like a compost pile on our hill, because now we're using the hill because we have a little trail that's going to go down and the bee house. And then down at the bottom of the hill, we're going to do like large compost, like tree limbs and all that stuff, just so the deer can eat it. We have a lot of deer too. But what we do, because I was like hesitant to have a compost pile because, I don't know, judgment from my neighbors, but sorry if any of them are on here. You don't judge me, obviously, but just I live in suburbia. Like, I look to the left, there's my neighbor. I look to my right, there's my neighbor. And I was just like, I don't know, I felt self-conscious about composting. So this is the way that I started. I use something that looks like this. And this is my kitchen counter composter. Okay. And it has like a charcoal. I cleaned it out so that, well, there's some stuff in there. But it has like a charcoal pad that we have washing right now because I was just cleaning it out. But there's a charcoal pad that goes in here to keep like it from smelling. Okay. And then we put all fruit and veggie scraps in there. Sarah can talk more. That's all that I do is fruit and veggie waste. And then I take that out, and we take it out when it gets filled up, which is pretty quickly for us. And then we take it to a larger composting bin that we have. We have a large black one that we spin that composts itself. Like we mix it with old matter and new matter. It looks kind of sleek so that it kind of fits in seamlessly with our landscaping. And I'll post that, the link, the Amazon link for that too. And that's how we compost and kind of get it all going. And then we mix the compost in with the soil. More in the fall time is what we do when we're kind of mixing beds. But that's our process from me being in suburbia. So why don't you talk about yours, Sarah?
Yes, I think that's awesome. I mean, we don't really have a compost pile. All of my compost, like all of my coffee grounds, chicken scraps. I call them chicken scraps because that's what they are. They're all of our kitchen scraps. They end up going to the chickens. And so from there, we're composting really, we're doing manure. So ours is all like anything from the animals is going, it's getting dried. So we keep it separate because you can't put manure, fresh manure on a flower bed or a garden bed. You want to make sure it's dry. So we're actually dealing with the manure from our animals. So it's a little bit different than mixing it in. But if you are mixing it in, it's really great in springtime and fall when you're mixing that compost in. So even leaves, do you throw any leaves in there, Sarah?
We do. Yeah, we do leaves, we do weeds, we do like a good mix. What you want to do is like a decent mix of dead like brown matter, and then a decent mix of green matter. Which brings me to another resource because I took a composting class through Penn State Extension. They have a ton of free classes right now, guys, like a ton. They have a whole berry growing class, like how to grow raspberries. That's for free online. They have a beekeeping class, Sarah. I wanted to tell you about that one. They have a bunch of classes that are for free right now during the month of April. So I'll put the link on here for that as well. A bunch of farming and gardening classes. But dead and dying matter, which can be like lawn, matter, and then also an amount of like a live matter, like vegetables that you cut and that you're kind of bringing in straight from the home to the compost bin, if that makes sense too.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess for us, we just kind of, anytime Brooke mows the yard, he collects the grass and he'll put those clippings around the blackberry bushes. He's always putting those straight on. So for us personally, we're never composting anything. It's going straight on, right around our blackberry bushes, unless it's manure. But so if you have the ability to compost and have a big compost bin, go for it.
And I'm putting those free classes up right now. You can go on and you can get that all, go sign up for any classes that you'd like. And I also have the bigger composter on there. Sarah, are you using your yard clippings as mulch?
Yes, it's just for us, it helps keep the weeds down. Just around our berry bushes, pretty much, like blackberries. Where else do we put them? It's mostly blackberry bushes is where we put them because we're doing wood chips on everything else. But yes, so those clippings go in there.
And I do put weeds in my compost pile. What do you do? Like I don't put like poison ivy and things like that in there, if we have that issue, but I do. I put other live matter in there.
Yeah. I don't normally put weeds in. I mean, we don't have a compost bin. The only thing we're using is those clippings. Before we did mulching, like the wood chips, we did grass clippings around all of our plants and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to touch on this right now, but it's a little in depth, but the reason you have weeds, a lot of times when you have weeds, it's because there's an issue in the soil. The soil is not, it needs some kind of nutrient. So you have that taproot that's digging deep down into the soil to try to bring up nutrients. So it's not about getting weeds out or kind of, snuffing them or suffocating them and killing them. We need to think, it's kind of like our body systems. Okay, there's something not right here. What is wrong with the soil? What nutrients does it need? Does it need, calcium? Does it need, I don't know, let's say magnesium? What is it actually needing to help that plant grow properly? And so that's a whole, like, we could spin off on that right now, but I just wanted to put that in your mind.
Absolutely. And you can, that's what we did like our first year too, when I was taking the composting class. You can send a soil sample to Penn State Extension as well. I don't know if they're doing it right now, but I know in every other season that they have that you can send them a sample. They'll send you a full report back, and that'll tell you like what you need to put in your soil, like what Sarah's saying, to increase the health of it or in one way or another, which was really, really eye-opening for me. So that was a great resource as well.
Absolutely. I think it's kind of gross, but it's like a stool sample for us, right? Like, okay, what's happening here, And for a soil sample, we're of the earth, the same. I mean, we have like very similar microbiomes, so very similar. Someone asked, wood chips where do you get wood chips at? So we just call like a local tree trimming company and we say, hey, can you deliver for us? And we pay for wood chips to be delivered, like a big load being delivered. Yeah. So search out areas, but I know in some areas, some townships, they'll have dump sites where people can just dump like any kind of compost or wood chips, and you can go fill up a truck for free if that's in your township, if you have those equipment. So
yeah, they have one of those here in Exeter at Trout Run, but we get ours from we have a landscaper who I tell him I want wood chips that are completely natural. I don't want them dyed. I don't want them no synthetics. Like he knows what I want by now, but I tell him nothing. Like I want chips from wood, because that's another thing too, that if you're getting mulch, then that can be dyed pretty colors and things like that too.
Yeah, you just want straight like wood chips, like where they're cutting down trees and they're chipping the trees because they're overgrown. Like that's it. No mulch or anything, just wood chips.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna share the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So we can kind of get some of these recipes going and show you guys some more information. Feel free to keep the questions going. Oh, there we go. And we are just gonna kind of roll right along. So Sarah, I can't see questions. If you wanna ask them, all I can kind of see is our screen. So what we're going to talk about tonight, we are just going to also talk to you a little bit about essential oils, because that's what we're going to talk about when we talk about some pest management, also some weed management, some insect management, all of those things. So that's what we're going to be using for our primary method this evening. And essential oils are the lifeblood of a plant. Let us know in the comments, what oil are you loving? Are you brand new to oils? Have you been using them for a while? Let us know what you're loving right now. And it's also known as the immune system of the plant. So take a moment just to kind of think about that, because that is incredible, especially where we are right now. And with Young Living, you never have to worry. We have the seed to seal guarantee, which means that all of our oils have been hand selected as heirloom seeds, which we just talked about, have been hand planted, have been hand harvested, hand weeded, have been, distilled within our company, have been gone through so many rounds of testing to make sure that they are extremely pure. So you don't have to worry that, by using these, that you would be putting any sort of chemical byproduct on your plants, on yourself, or in your home, which is just really, really awesome. And Sarah and I have both seen the distillation process firsthand. We've been on the farms, and they have said that they use their oils for pest management. They use their oils for care of the plant. Sarah, do you have anything to add to that?
The one thing that I love about Young Living too is that you have to have a happy attitude to be in the garden too, because your energy is exhorted, is that the word, onto the plants. So if you have that negative vibe coming from you, those plants are going to take that on. And so a garden is supposed to be a happy place. So I want you to go out into your garden and exude those happy feelings, just like, all the workers at Young Living, they have to have that happy attitude as well.
Yeah, no, and I thought that was incredible too. So think about that next time you're cursing as you're weeding your garden. Try to keep that to a minimum. So let's talk about our first recipe. And this is just tackling the outdoors. They have with 2 ounces of witch hazel, 2 ounces of distilled water. I know that distilled water is a little bit harder to come by right at the moment. Do you have any recommendations, Sarah, on an alternative to distilled water?
I know some people have reverse osmosis. If you have that in your house, that would work. And I'm wondering if boiling water would possibly work as well. You're boiling those minerals off.
Right. Yeah, and I know I use a Berkey water filter in my home, which gets a lot of that out too.
I've also heard that the water that comes from your dehumidifier is distilled. So if you have a dehumidifier running, the water from your dehumidifier would be distilled water.
Thank you for that, Julia. That's awesome, because I know that I've had a lot of questions about that.
Yeah, and they're saying distilled water because if you have water like spring water or tap water, it has those minerals in it that gives it that stagnant smell if you don't use it in time. If you're using this fast, then by all means you can use tap water. I mean, I go back and forth. I feel like we use a lot of our sprays quickly, but if it's one that you feel like you're not going to use as quick, then go ahead and use that distilled water.
And then tackle the outdoors. Some of you might be saying, well, what does that even mean? So this is going to be a recipe that you can use to kind of stay annoyance free outside, so that, you don't get all the bites all over you when you're working in your garden. And this is a DIY option. Young Living also has amazing insect repellent that I love so much, that comes in a large bottle and lasts forever and ever. Sarah, I think you were saying that the other day too, that your girls use it pretty liberally.
Yeah, like we go for hikes and they just take the bottle and squirt it. And I'm like, you're wasting it. And I mean, there's still so much left at the end of summer when, we don't need it anymore. So the other trick that we do with the Young Living insect repellent, because it is oil-based, is we put it in little roller bottles. So everyone gets their own roller bottle and they can put it on as needed. And it's just a way to help, make a mess.
And then here's our next recipe, and pets and your garden. So I know that this can be an issue. They have a dog up here. I know this can be an issue sometimes for cats to kind of get into the garden, dig into the garden. So this is something that is a safe way just to kind of deter them from getting into the garden and digging about. They use 5 to 10 drops of essential oil. Black pepper or rosemary are the ones that they recommend, with a shallow pan of warm water and strips of old clothing or washcloths. And then you just take them and you literally tie them onto the stakes, and that helps to keep unwanted animals out of your garden.
Do you think that would work for bunnies?
I think it would be worth a try. Why not?
Yeah, I was going to say even like, I know some people are asking about squirrels and deer.
Yes, yeah.
This would be worth a try.
For those unwanted animals.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next recipe is going to be a hot one for you ladies and gentlemen for this evening. Unwanted and unpleasant growth. Okay. Sarah, do you want to talk about this one?
Yes. Sorry, I was just looking at the comments.
Oh, no.
Yes. Unwanted and unpleasant growth. Okay, so I'm just looking down here at the plant love spray. Like that one is great for if you have house plants, if you have potted plants, that would be great for your container gardening. Just to be able to put that spray on there to keep insects away, to keep bugs away, because it has the citronella and the tea tree in it. Unwanted for with the cinnamon bark. The unwanted.
That's going to be for weeds.
Yes, that would be for weeds. So this one you're going to spray around the base of your plant. If you have raised beds or if you have row beds, then that would be one that you spray around the base. So obviously you want to check the weather too. So if you know it's going to rain the next day, I wouldn't do it. So I would probably do this when they're not calling for rain, so that way it can soak in. Okay. And with natural sprays, you're going to want to do this a little bit more often. So once a week or as needed.
And then the next one is going to be a little bit of a chat about companion plants, which is something that we were talking about with what plants to plant with other plants, because there are ones that go harmoniously together, and then there are some that do not go as well. So these are like happy companion plant combinations. And it also has a little companion spray at the bottom here, which is 10 to 15 drops of the corresponding essential oil here. Like here, it would be lavender or basil. Broccoli would be basil thyme, because those are also the corresponding oils that can kind of offer nourishment to that other plant. So for instance, I'm planting a lot of green beans because my son requested them, and I can spray them with some lavender. I can spray them with some basil. I can have those herbs grow in close proximity to the green beans, and they're going to help with a relationship with one another, kind of offer some nourishment to each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I absolutely love this. And I love that if you do have a smaller garden and you don't have the space to plant lavender and basil or basil and thyme, you don't have to. You can use the essential oils to be like the companion.
Do we have any questions, Sarah? Should I just kind of keep going?
I'm just looking, would you spray that on the plant or around the plant? Helena, is that, what spray would that be for? The companion spray. You could probably, for me, I would probably spray that around the base so it's not too strong. Because when you're companion planting, it's going to be off, it's going to be next to it. So those essential oils from that companion plant are kind of just like drifting over. So maybe around the base, but not like directly on.
And then here's our next recipe, which I'm super excited for. So this is the pollinator party spray. Lavender, orange, and distilled water. So this is going to be great for flowers. How many of you are flower gardeners out there? We didn't even talk that much about flowers. We did a fresh cut garden last year, just with zinnias, and we loved it so much having fresh flowers on the table that we are just doing a whole bunch of seeds this year. Roars has some annual and perennial mixes that you can get. They have wildflower mixes. They have pollinator mixes, butterfly mixes. So I'm excited just to kind of throw some in the backyard and see what happens this year. How about you, Sarah?
Yeah, I absolutely love planting. One of my favorites is sunflowers, planting dahlia bulbs, and zinnias. And those things like zinnia seeds, I direct sow right into the ground in May. And dahlia bulbs, you can purchase those and then save them. So yeah, fresh cut flowers are absolutely a necessity.
And then we have tending the harvest. So this is something that I do whenever I'm harvesting any of my goodies outside. I always bring my Thieves Household Cleaner, or I just bring my Thieves Fruit and Veggie Wash, and it works really, really well. I know Kay is on here. She gave me the idea because I always bring out a colander and a bowl, and I throw whatever I harvest into the colander. I rinse it right there with the hose, and I put the fruit and veggie soak right there, because the great thing about the water when you're done is that you can just kind of put it onto your garden. That's what I always do afterwards. I recycle that water. She uses a plastic laundry basket from the dollar store that she just kind of picks up afterwards, and has all of it in there. Her entire harvest, her entire bounty, which is really cool. So that is amazing to do. And then there's a Don't Bother Me diffuser recipe that you can use to just kind of keep the air smelling good. If you have your diffuser outside, you can use that as well to kind of keep pests away. But a really nice blend right there too that you can use in the diffuser this time of year.
Yeah, and I shared the other day in our group, you can make reed diffusers. So if you're entertaining outdoors or you're outdoors in your garden, you can make a reed diffuser with those oils as well.
And then they just touch on canning. Guys, you can use the Vitality line of oils in so many different ways. They're all non-GMO certified, which is enormous. That's huge. It's the only line of essential oils that's out there that is for consumption. Like, they're labeled for consumption and for ingestion purposes. So I know I just made some delicious sourdough sticky buns yesterday. And I used orange essential oil in the icing, and they just were amazing. They were the best tasting things that I've had in a really long time. So it's nice just to have those on as, a versatile way to use for marinades and things like that, but you can also use them for canning too. Sarah, do you want to talk about this one?
Absolutely. So when you're in the garden, a lot of times, I know for me, like when you're picking tomatoes or coming in contact with the plants, sometimes you can get a little rash, or your skin can get irritated. I don't know if that has happened to any one of you, but this is a soothing stick. So you can make this roller bottle of lavender, purification, and peppermint just to help soothe irritated skin. Or even sometimes, when you're outside, there's bee stings too, right? So this is just going to soothe your skin if any of those outside irritations happen.
And then they also talk about you can use deep relief roller or pan away on sore muscles. The CBD muscle rub is amazing. It is fantastic, just for some muscle support too. And then for any of you who are not yet a member of our community, like I said, I got started with a kit just like this by, reaching out to Sarah. We have a ton of kit options that has changed so much in the past 3 years. So the oils kit is just one option that you can get started with a wholesale membership. That's 24% off of retail pricing. You don't have any monthly obligation, but we do offer a really awesome wellness box that we'll talk about next, just briefly. And we can kind of let you know what Sarah and I have been ordering, especially during this time when we're not going out to a whole bunch of stores. But this kit is amazing. These are still the 12 oils that I use most in life, that I always make sure to have with me at any time in my purse, in my car, in my, my son's bag. It comes with a little thing of hand sanitizer. It comes with some of our Ningxia Red, which is the highest antioxidant supplement, best for your immune system, hands down. That Thieves spray has alcohol in it. It is ready to sanitize and go. And the diffuser too. It is an amazing, amazing deal. It retails for over $365. Young Living gives it to you for $165. If you are already a member, comment in the comments and just let us know which is your absolute one favorite oil out of the kit. I know it's hard to choose one, but let us know what it is and how you use that. And Sarah and I are gonna make it even sweeter. If you are not a member and you would love to join our community to have access to education and all of the other things, we are also gonna give you $25 back on this kit. So that would bring $165 down to $140, which is an amazing value. And that would be off of any of the premium starter kits.
Yes, plus, I don't know, I always love to give a little welcome gift too.
Oh, absolutely,
So
yeah.
you get to be part of an amazing community full of education every single day, all kinds of classes. So can we share what we're ordering? I'm like
Yes. Go for it. Because this is like the way to order.
Yes.
And now more than ever, right?
Oh my.
Our monthly wellness box has been amazing for us, especially during this time period. It's been incredible because I've gotten things like our thieves cleaner, our dish soap, our laundry soap, our dishwashing detergent. I've gotten insect repellent. We didn't even talk about sunscreen, like all those things too. What about you, Sarah? What have you guys been scooping up?
I feel like I am just super blessed with having this stuff delivered to my door more than ever. I mean, I do like Target, but I am okay with not having to go to Target and having my order delivered. And it's always like Christmas Day, but now more than ever, I'm like, yes, it's here because I'm ordering Life 9, our probiotic to keep our immune system running strong. I'm ordering the dish soap, the laundry soap, because all my kids are home and my little ones, they do their own laundry. So they use a little bit more than normal. So I'm ordering laundry soap, lots of thieves to keep our immune systems running strong and pumping out of the diffuser. And Pure Protein Complete is my jam right now. As a mama that is homeschooling and running a business, I don't have a whole lot of time to eat. So I'm making Pure Protein Complete shakes to making sure that I'm getting the nutrition that I need.
Yeah, and I do the Balance Complete, the vanilla Balance Complete. I did a shake today with that and bananas and strawberries, and it was just amazing because that's half protein and half fiber. And my husband just got done doing the dishes and he overheard our conversation. He looked and he was like, so he is obsessed with our granola.
Oh yeah, that
like
stuff is amazing.
literally get 6 bags of that a month and we eat all of it. And he loves our Ningxia too, and our Zings, which are like the energy drink as well. So he is obsessed with all of the things. And I am seeing so many good testimonies. Stress Away is a blessing right now. Thieves, Balance Complete with blueberries. The granola is amazing. Thieves for everything.
Oh, the
gosh.
pasta. Oh, and vitamin
Yes.
C.
Vitamin C, baby wipes, all the butt wipes. Yep. We get those, all the kids' vitamins, the multivitamins, Ningxia Red. Oh my gosh. Stress Away, Peace and Calming. Valor. Yes. I've been using it. That's what I've been rolling on myself like this whole time. The little roller that Sarah gave me, Valor and Believe oil. It's my jam.
Oh yeah.
Thieves, Valor. Thieves, Valor. Spaghetti sauce with parsley. Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, can I show? Yes, I'll go back to show the Wither the Weeds slide. And then Sarah, while I do that, do you want to share a little bit about how we're going to do the emails?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So let me just copy it. So the emails will have the recipes as well. You'll get the journal and that's going to have the recipes in there. And it's going to be a great little journal that's going to have spring gardening tips. It's going to have fall gardening tips, like what to do and task lists. There's going to be like grids where you can actually draw out your own garden, and then the recipes will be in there as well. So I'm going to post a link right now that's going to be a subscription to an email list. That way you can fill it out and that email will be sent to you tomorrow morning. Uh-oh, where'd you go, Sarah?
Oh, sorry, I disappeared. Should I come back?
Nope, I'm just trying to, there's the chat. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I was like, where'd it go? All right. I just posted that link. So everyone, if you want to click on that link that I just posted, wait a minute. I just posted it privately to Jen. So let me just try not to, how do I not? To everyone. Okay. So I'm going to post it to everyone. So click this link, subscribe to that email list so that way we can get you your free journal. All right, and that's all you have to do. And then also what Sarah and I had talked about as well with the $25 off, if you are not a member yet, you can reach out to her or myself if you're not a member, and or reactivate with one of us as well. If you have been an inactive member, meaning you haven't ordered in over a year, you can reach out to one of us, and we would love to help you get started and get educated.
Absolutely. And last, do you want to do a little giveaway?
Absolutely. Okay.
So I don't know the best way to do this. Should we ask a question?
Well, I would say we can just kind of pick from everyone that's been commenting, because that's just the best way to go. I feel like that's, the easiest. So, I don't know. Sarah has this book as well. It's called Essentially Grown, and it is chock full of amazing recipes on pest control, animal control. If you have like fungus growing on your plants, if you have blight on your tomatoes, it has companion garden of recipes, like what plants to plant with other plants. So this is something that we are going to give away to one person who is commenting on here tonight. So I am going to go ahead and I am going to do a random.org giveaway in just a minute or two. So I'll let everyone make sure they comment on here.
And Julia, and everyone, all of the recipes that were highlighted this evening will be given to you in your garden journal. So you're going to get a copy of that. You're going to get a copy of the entire garden journal that's going to be emailed to you. So don't worry if you miss something, because you are 100% going to get a copy of everything. That's going to be emailed straight to you. And somebody just said lemon and peppermint into the raw honey. Yes, we forgot about like the seasonal support. So lemon, peppermint, and lavender is amazing for seasonal support. You can put that into raw honey, and that can help with any seasonal stuff you have going on. I love, love, love that. And vitamin C. Oh my gosh, the chewable vitamin C's. My son thinks they're candy.
Yes, I'm going to just kind of type that recipe out. 4 ounces of raw honey. And then I do like 6 drops each of lavender, lemon, and peppermint. And you can go easier on the peppermint if it's too strong, but I kind of like it wicked potent to like open up those sinuses, you know?
Yeah, that's great in the diffuser. That's great in a roller bottle too. Oh my goodness. Love that.
And even if you don't have seasonal difficulty, it just smells amazing in the diffuser anyway. We have that kind of pump in throughout the day to help my kids focus, because peppermint helps them focus on schoolwork. So yeah. Yes, Lexi, it's kind of like the jacked up honey for immune support, but it's seasonal support. Okay. So I am going to, let's see.
And then Shell had a question about good soil to start. Shell, what type of garden are you doing? Are you doing grow, container? Let us know what type of gardening you're doing.
It'll be containers, so I need to start from scratch.
Perfect.
I dumped out what I had used before.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Perfect. You can go, you could do, like, from my viewpoint, you can do a big box store. You could do a Home Depot. You can do a Lowe's. You can obviously do somewhere more local too if they're open, but I know that that's what we're kind of dealing with right now. And you want to look for organic potting soil if you're doing containers. Just make sure that it's organic. In my opinion, I think that that's very important, just due to the health of the soil, and especially if you're doing organic planting. And just go with a good organic potting soil, because you're keeping it in a container. Easy. You can even do, if you're doing seeds inside, that's even easier. Organic potting soil into that. It's perfect.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Okay, so the winner of the booklet it came from THULTGRE.
Tanya! Love that girl.
Who is it?
Tanya.
Yeah,
Congratulations. Okay. Congratulations.
Oh, yay. Sarah, do you have her contact information?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, there you are, Tanya. Okay, perfect.
Congratulations.
Okay.
And then, and just let us know too, if you want to let us know after the fact. You're going to have access to the email that you're going to get from Sarah. If there's something more that you would like to see kind of more in depth, we can always do a round 2 of this, whether that would be, any of the things that we covered this evening. We'd be happy to help you with that as well. We're so happy that for all of you that attended, this was just fantastic. We were so looking forward to this. It's something that we both really love doing. And like I said, and I really mean it, like, give yourself grace now more than ever. Okay, that you're doing something, which is just making something, you're doing something with your hands. It's going to help so much with your whole being, with your mind and with your body and with your spirit. It's going to help so much. Like, I have been cooking like a machine. I've been doing all these crazy things, like building things. I've been like this whole person. I don't even know what I'm doing a lot of the time, but I'm embroidering, guys. If you really knew me, you'd be like, what are you doing? And I am hurting myself. Like, I think I need something that goes over my thumb or my finger. I don't even know. It hurts. Like, yeah, okay, whatever that is, I need one of those, but I'm giving myself grace because I can do that at night and I'm enjoying it, and it's helping my mind kind of go somewhere else. So just follow that. Like, now more than ever, you have something in your gut and you have something in your heart that like is sending you somewhere to go do something. Listen to your body. Have fun with this. Involve your family if you can. Cross stitch is less dangerous. Okay, maybe you can teach me about that, Kelly, because I'm telling you this, I'm loving it. I'm gonna make a shirt or something out of it and I'll wear it and let you guys see. But just be kind to yourselves and be gentle. And thank you for coming and letting us share something that we're so passionate with all of you. And tag us in pictures, like as you scoop dirt and do things, like let us follow you on your journey, because it's just, that's what keeps us going too.
Absolutely. And everything Sarah said. So we would love to see your journey. That just fills our heart, and to see just that, education being passed on, and then passed on to your children too, because they're going to really just dive deep. If you have children or, loved ones that, they're going to say, hey, what are you doing? That's kind of how all of this started for us. Like, hey, what are you doing? And it was just great seeing our friends starting gardens, and we're like, wow, this is amazing. So it's like that ripple effect. So consider yourself a ripple effect for your friends and family and for your children. And so you can follow Sarah and I on our Instagram handles. I'm at Well Folk Revival, and Sarah, you're at Mindful Oil Moments, and we'll put that in the chat here for more tips and all kinds of fun, homestead tips from the country mouse and the town mouse.
And we do, and we talk all the time, like sharing all sorts of crazy, bizarre things, and we put our own spin on it. So it's messy, but it's beautiful, and we support each other, and that's what community is all about. So thank you so much for coming together for this evening. We hope that you found it valuable, and let us know how we can serve you, because that's really like what we want to do right now, is just bring everyone together and try to serve you in whatever way that we can. So we hope that y'all have a great evening.
Yep. Thanks for joining, guys.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye. Happy planting.